All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this special episode of the Coal Country Podcast where we discuss everything WVU sports. I am your host, Ian McIntyre, and joining me on this special episode is Tyler Cobb. How are we doing, Tyler?
I am doing wonderfully. How about you?
Dude, I'm good. Classes in full swing. Weather's starting to get colder. That can only mean one thing. WVU
Football's
football.
close. Football is close. 3 more days.
3 more days. We're recording this on Wednesday night. I'm hyped, man. I got my plans all ready to go up there on Saturday morning, have some barbecue, go over, watch a game. Should be a chill afternoon. Excited to see you guys in the band. Excited to see the first show. So,
Can't wait.
I can't wait either. So, let's dive right into it, talk some football. First of all, before we get to anything Robert Morris related, we want to talk about recent news that happened with WVU in Alabama. So, we had a series scheduled with Alabama starting next season, 2026 and 2027, where we were going to play Alabama in Morgantown next year, and then we were going to play them in Alabama in 2027, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. That series has been called off altogether. We had heard rumors, or at least I had heard rumors about it months previous to this, that it may get canceled for financial reasons or playoff reasons or whatever it was. I'd heard multiple things about it, but it was ultimately decided Alabama should move on. Alabama schedules East Carolina in our place, and we schedule Southern Miss and Coastal Carolina in their place for the next 2 years. So I have my own thoughts, but Tyler, let me hear your thoughts on it right off the dome.
Yep. It's been talked about for a while now that the SEC was intending to go to non-conference games, or at least they would. And the playoff has kind of just moved that forward even more because conference games mean even more now that you get automatic bids if you win your conference. And so the SEC decides to move to 9 games. Alabama would rather have one less Power 4 opponent. And so they cancel ours and basically replace it with a weaker opponent since they'll have that extra SEC game. It sucks that we end up going from a national televised game in Morgantown. Let's say Rich Rod has a booming year this year, starts off hot next year, and we get Alabama at home. You imagine Alabama would be ranked if Rod does good enough this year. West Virginia would have the potential to be ranked. That's a top 25 matchup in Morgantown, and it just kind of goes down the drain. And then it sucks even more so that rather than trying to schedule like Marshall, Pitt, Virginia Tech, you get Southern Miss. You get Southern Miss's old coach. You get Marshall's old coach now at Southern Miss, and a lot of old Marshall players, but still doesn't feel the same. And then Coastal, the Myrtle Beach Bowl. That's all. That's all it is. No excitement about it. Just an extra game. It kind of sucks that that's what it is because next year it'll be, I believe, 2 G5 opponents in an FCS. I think because I don't know if that Virginia series starts next year or not. Anyway, it'll be a week of schedule.
I don't think it does. I think Virginia's 27. I think you're right.
Yeah, and you don't have the nationally televised game, so kind of sucks. It is what it is. Should start 3-0 next year, though, so at least that's good.
That's the plus. So my overall opinion is, first of all, let's look at the bad. The bad is WVU fans don't get to see us play Alabama. That sucks from a fan perspective because you want to see our team play the best, and Alabama is one of the best. So from a fan perspective, it's disappointing. I'm sure from a player perspective, it's disappointing as well because you want to be playing against the best. Again, you want to be able to prove yourself. But also, it makes sense in terms of the playoffs for both teams because Alabama and the SEC moving to their 9-team SEC schedule, it makes sense to get rid of a harder opponent that they don't need to have in order to actually look better in the playoff standings come the end of the season. Because even if they were to beat us, it would hurt us more by not scheduling someone like a Southern Miss that we could easily have as a win on our schedule. So either way, it's unnecessary for both teams. And that's what I don't like about our playoff system. And I mean, we've talked about it plenty of times here before, but the playoffs need fixing, and this is a prime aspect of the playoffs that needs to be addressed because record matters more than strength of schedule in this current playoff format, and something needs to be done to where both have an equal effect on your playoff chances.
Yep. We're seeing it. Indiana and Kurt Signetti, he's openly said that there's no point in playing any Power Four opponents in the non-conference because the only thing that is going to happen is if you end up losing, that hurts you more than if you end up winning because, like you said, the strength of schedule metric doesn't really get weighed properly. I did mess up. In 2026, it is the Virginia series. So it'll be Virginia, Coastal, and UT Martin. But then in 2027, it's two G5s, Southern Miss, Ohio, and then an FCS opponent. And then back 2028, we have Tennessee and Charlotte. That one is up in the air right now. We don't know if Tennessee will end up canceling or not. Same situation as Bama. And then 2029, you bring Pitt back into the equation. There's been a lot of why didn't you schedule Pitt? And I'm one of those people, like, why not schedule Pitt? The main reasons is because West Virginia doesn't want to give up a home game in 2026, and then Pitt doesn't want to play in Morgantown in back-to-back years. So it would have just been a difficult thing to do. It is what it is. 2 years without a premier opponent in the non-conference, and then 28 you get Tennessee, 29 Pitt comes back. So it is what it is, I guess, is what I'll have to say.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. One headline that I just can't see in my head: 2027 Mountaineers versus Chanticleers. That is one thing that I just cannot see.
Ears versus Chanticleers.
Ears and clears, baby. Primetime football. Put it on Big Noon Kickoff.
At Coastal and West Virginia both need to do their part and be solid for the next – no, that next year is Coastal. So we need to have good 2025 seasons.
Yeah, I hope so.
Premier matchup, ears and clears.
Dude, that'd be so funny. Speaking of our team, let's go ahead and move on and talk about Robert Morris because we want to know in this game, of all things, what's up with the depth chart. Who's good, who's not, who's going to play on a regular basis, what's the quarterback situation look like. A lot of questions need to be answered about how good our season outlook is, and that is where we lie in this Robert Morris game. We're going to seek to answer as many questions as possible. Who's good on the secondary, and is our secondary as good as we think it's going to be? Who is going to be the starting quarterback? Nico, Henderson, Max Brown, who the heck knows? I think you see all three of them in this game. Go ahead and talk more about the depth chart because I don't want to jump ahead and get into it.
I mean, the most glaring issue is 5 oars, or I guess 4, on the quarterback position. I tried to look a little bit, and I could have missed something, but I could not find anything that said West Virginia's done that before, having 5 potential starters for week 1 game or moving forward. I said earlier today on Twitter that I don't think it's going to be 5 people. I don't even think you'll see 5 guys during the Robert Morris game. I think that Rich Rod is just bluffing essentially, and he's really down to 2, maybe 3 guys. As far as I'm concerned, I think it's Nico or Henderson. You could maybe say Max Brown is in the conversation, but even then, as a little bit of a stretch, I think it's Nico, Henderson. You'll see at least both of them play week 1. It's going to be a fairly large blowout, in my opinion. So you'll maybe get some Max Brown garbage time minutes, maybe Scotty Fox. But as far as that goes, I don't think you'll see all 5 guys. You'll be lucky to see 4 or 3, most likely to see 2. Other than that, I'll be honest, there was not a ton of, quote, like position battles, true position battles going on. You've got the quarterback position, and then you've got tight end, which right now it's Grayson Barnes or Jacob Barrick listed as the starters. And what's interesting about them is they'll probably both get somewhat equal amount of playing time. Barrick's more of a blocking tight end. Grayson Barnes, the transfer from NIU, is more of a receiving tight end. So you'll probably see a little bit of both of them throughout the season. And then the slot receiver, Rodney, Man Singleton, and Jared Bowie, all listed as potential starters for the slot wide receiver. We've heard good things about Rodney all off season. He's been one of the guys that has the highest potential on the team, but has not been put in the right system or given the right amount of touches or anything along that to actually fully develop. So I'm putting my money on it'll be Rodney that starts at slot, but don't count out Man or Jared Bowie either. And then on offense, that's it. The offensive line had a lot of questions going in, but it seems like the offensive line has been fairly settled. You've got Nick Cray, Walter Youngbear, Landon Livingston, Chemo, and Tykees Crawford, which is, if you watch our show about a week and a half ago with Carson, that was the exact 5 that I said prior to the depth chart being released. I said that I didn't think there was nearly as many battles going on as what people thought, and that the offensive line was those 5 guys, and I thought that those would be the 5 guys that we would see come August 30th when we take the field against the Colonials. Another major thing is Jamori is still not on the depth chart. That goes for Ty Edwards as well. In Jamori's situation, they're still waiting on, is he able to play because of the academic eligibility side? He is cleared technically by the judge, and they're just trying to determine if that overrules anything that would rule him academically ineligible, or if the academics still do cause a problem. You're not going to see him week 1. I honestly think you'll be lucky to see him week 2 versus Ohio. Hopefully he's back for Pitt. That's a game that we're going to need to see what the defensive line at its full strength can do. So I'm hoping Jamori's back for the brawl September 13th. Other than that, you've got Eddie Kelly, Eddie V, and Hammond Russell listed as the starters, and then Braden Siders at the bandit position in front of Jamori Robinson because he's not on the depth chart. Reed Carrico and Chase Wilson, the 2 guys I thought would start at linebacker, are listed as starting linebackers. One thing I wanted to note was the starting cornerbacks are Michael Coates and Jason Chambers, which, again, Zach Alley's defense is very aggressive. You're going to see a lot of different blitz packages. There's going to be a lot of subbing in and out. So a lot of DBs are going to get a lot of snaps. But Coates and Jason Chambers are listed as the starting cornerbacks, whereas I thought it would be Coates and Jordy Scruggs, both of them some of the highest rated cornerbacks in college football last year, according to PFF. And then you've got Fred Perry at the nickel safety, then the box safety and free safety, or bandit safety, as is listed on the depth chart, is Darren Lewis and Israel Boyce over KK Tarnu or Derek Carter. I thought it would be KK Tarnu. I was pretty confident it would be KK Tarnu, especially because he's familiar with Zach Alley's defense when he was at Jacksonville State. So that one came at a bit of a shock to me. Props to Boyce for earning the starting job. But on the defense, you have no position battles, and then on the offense, you only have 3. So that's kind of interesting. Not much else to say. You're going to still see some position changes. I'm sure you're going to see some starting changes throughout the year. The only position I'd say is 100% locked down is Jaheim starting at running back, and that's about it. So everybody else could still earn the opportunity to have that starting spot moving forward. But for Robert Morris, it seemed to be set in stone.
Yep. The only thing that I really want to reaffirm from that, because I agree with everything, is the biggest question mark we have going into week 1 is still the quarterback battle. That's basically what we have to look forward to. Who's going to perform better? Again, on defense, everybody seems to be able to get an opportunity week 1. I figured Michael Coates would be up there for the starting secondary, so that's good. Linebackers are set. I've been high on Reed Carrico forever.
I will say I'm a little sad Ben Cutter was not. I know Reed Carrico and Chase Wilson are 2 experienced guys, but I'm a big fan of Ben Cutter. He just screams that kind of hard edge mentality. So I think Ben Cutter is still going to play a big role, even though he's not listed as a starting linebacker.
Yep. And then also you alluded a little bit to Jamori and Ty Edwards being in their NCAA battle. And I can confirm watching Rich Rod's last press conference, he did say Jamori was not practicing at the moment. So we will not see Jamori week 1. If that situation can get worked out by Pitt, I'll actually be surprised, because it seems like anything the NCAA does that involves WVU either takes forever or is completely ruled out and against us.
Well, they appealed the decision. They appealed the decision too. The NCAA appealed the court, so we could see the other 3 guys end up ineligible, I guess. Hopefully, it doesn't turn out that way, but hold on to your hats.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing Jamori Robinson at some point this season. Dude's a dog, man. Dude's a dog.
Absolutely. Go watch his UTSA tapes if you have not, because he is fast, he's physical, and he will just rock the crap out of a quarterback when he gets in the backfield.
Dude, yeah. Now we've dove in a little bit to our depth chart. Do we want to at least take a look at Robert Morris? Look at some key positions for them, see what they've been up to the past few years. Try and break down what's going to be key for them against us, even though we don't really know, because we have a lot of questions to answer.
And it's an FCS opponent.
Yeah. We're sort of in a nebulous zone right now. I think we just need to get through week 1 and we'll know a lot more. But go ahead and break down some Robert Morris stuff for us on the depth chart.
Like you said, there's a lot of questions for us. But at the same time, it's an FCS opponent, so I can tell you all of their skill position players and where I think they could find success against West Virginia, but I don't think there are many areas of that. Something I did find interesting is that their head coach, Bernard Clark Jr., he has played against West Virginia twice on the opposing team's coaching staff. In 2006, he was the D-line coach at South Florida. South Florida, when the West Virginia lost to the Bulls. And then in 2010, he was the linebacker coach at Pittsburgh when we beat Pittsburgh fairly easily with old Bill Stewart. So some interesting history between Bernard Clark and West Virginia. But other than that, not a ton of history between the 2 teams. We've never played each other. Last year, Robert Morris had a 7-5 overall record. They went 4-2 in the NEC at the FCS level. They're also having a quarterback battle going on right now between redshirt junior Zach Tanner and Harvard transfer Amir Dudley. From what I can tell, Tanner is kind of a front runner, but at the same time, Tanner has not had the greatest couple of seasons. In his 3 seasons that he has played for the Colonials, he's only 51% completion percentage, 130 for 255 attempts. He's got 1,400 yards, and his touchdown to interception ratio is 8-12. So not a lot to look forward to at the quarterback position. They did rush for over 1,400 yards last year. However, they're losing a lot of their production. Everything that they have to look forward to in terms of the ground game is going to be transfers. Dante Wack from UMass and Owen McGraw from Eastern Michigan. And then they also have returners Taj Dykes and Ethan Shine. So trying to get some of that momentum back on the ground game. Another interesting note is that they have former West Virginia wide receiver Tyler Evans. And then they also have 2 All-NEC players. In 2024, Tasheen Howard, who plays cornerback for him, was named an All-NEC punt returner. And then Chaz Middleton, their tight end, in 2024 caught seven balls for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was named to the preseason All-NEC team. So those are some names and players to look out for. Again, it's Robert Morris. The talent differential between a Power 5 and an FCS opponent is very large. I don't think they stand much of a chance. After I said, I can't remember if it was 2 episodes ago or 1 episode ago, that I expected them to score maybe 10, maybe 17. I think they'll be lucky to get in the end zone once, especially against our starters. Now, if we pull our starters and end up second and third string in the 3rd or 4th quarter, maybe they get a couple touchdowns, but it's going to be a rough night for the Colonials. Happy that they get to start the Mountaineers off 1-0.
I think you said everything that you needed to say, and I totally agree with you. One thing that I figured out, just to talk about the talent gap here between West Virginia and Robert Morris, one thing I found out doing my research before we recorded this video, in 2016, Robert Morris lost 14-7 to Alderson Broaddus University, which for those of you who live in West Virginia and know Alderson Broaddus University, was a small college in Philippi that closed down due to financial reasons a couple years ago. And they're not even in the same division of college football. So
Not a good look for old Bobby Moe.
and it's not a good look. Now, they aren't the same team. It's probably not the same culture, but still, I mean, come on.
It's going to look like this week is honestly just about looking at the position battles, the few that we apparently have. Watching the secondary, if the secondary has improved, like we have mentioned multiple times in the past couple of episodes, it can't get any worse, but has it gotten better? Watch the D-line without Jamori. Can the D-line still be formidable without Jamori Robinson coming off the edge? And watch the quarterback battle. That's the story of the game for West Virginia, and not much else needs to be said.
Yeah, I agree. Now that we've moved on from that, we know that it should be a win for us. We're going to answer a lot of questions this weekend. I'm really looking forward to getting out there and watching the boys go play some football.
Gold Rush.
We want to get into some exciting week 1 games, including the college game day game that everyone knows about. We're going to do our pick'ems for these games, and you have them listed. We'll save that one for last, but you have them listed, and we're going to make our picks.
We have Auburn as a 2.5-point favorite going to Baylor to take on the Bears in Waco. Give me the Bears. I've already talked about the Bears and how high I am on them this year. Big fan of Sawyer Robertson. Big fan of what they've done in the offseason. Dave Aranda has kind of turned himself around as a coach. Went from going 4-8 in 23 to 8-4 with a close bowl loss to LSU in 2025. Has high expectations going into 2025. Excuse me. Last year was 2024. I'm going with the Bears.
I'm going to go with Baylor as well. I'm not hating on Auburn. I don't know how they're favored to win this game, realistically. I think Auburn is going to be looking in another 6-6 type season this year. And Baylor and Sawyer Robertson have a lot to look forward to, and I think this is going to be one of those games that you look back at in 4 or 5 weeks that prove that they belong in the AP poll. So I'm going to go Baylor here.
If Baylor wins this game, you're going to see a lot of talks about potential Big 12 candidate, because as much crap as we do give Auburn, they have a lot of talent on that roster. They have one of the best wide receiver rooms in the SEC. They just have not had a good quarterback to throw them the ball. And like I said, they have talent on the roster. It just has not come together. So if Baylor can pull out this game, that's still a big win for Baylor, even though it's Auburn. Next up, Georgia Tech travels to Colorado, 4.5-point favorite to take on the Fighting Deons. Like Baylor, I'm extremely high on Georgia Tech in the ACC this season. Give me Georgia Tech.
I agree. I'm taking Georgia Tech here too, even though it's going to be a hard road atmosphere in Colorado, in Boulder. And it's going to be a difficult first game, but I think Colorado is a lot like us in the sense that they have a lot of questions to answer without Shedeur and Travis Hunter. So I think they're going to take this game to try to figure that out. And as we talked about in our full podcast episode, Georgia Tech also has the ability to probably be ranked in the AP poll this season and compete for some big marquee games. So I'm going to take Georgia Tech week 1. Colorado's got to figure some stuff out first before I start believing in them too much.
A lot of questions at Colorado. Probably the game of the week, at least a candidate for game of the week, and that's the two big boys going at it, a rematch of the semifinals. The Longhorns travel down to the Shoe to play Ohio State. Sark versus Day. Sark lost it barely in the playoffs. Can Ohio State repeat, or will the Longhorns get it done? I am going with the Longhorns even on the road. It is tough to beat a top 25 team on the road, let alone a top 10 team, let alone a top 5 team. They robbed us of the opportunity to have 1 versus 2 in the AP poll matchup, but still 1 versus 3. I think Texas can get it done. I like Sark. If there's anything he's proven, it's that he prepares his guys to go get a win on the road. Now, he lost to Georgia on the road last year, but if you remember in 2023, they went down to Alabama. They won the game by double digits. I'm going with Texas.
I don't hate your pick of Texas. I'm actually still trying to work this out for myself because it is such a close matchup because you have Texas, who's arguably a little bit better on the road in Columbus, and that stadium atmosphere is crazy, as we all know from watching them from the past 20 years. It's a crazy atmosphere to play in. Both teams have new starting quarterbacks, although everyone knows Arch Manning. He's going to be starting for the Longhorns. Julian Sayin most likely is going to be the starter for Ohio State. The question is, can Julian Sayin utilize his wide receivers to their fullest ability? Because in my opinion, Jeremiah Smith is the best wide receiver in the country.
I think he's the best player in the country.
And Heisman candidate by far, top Heisman candidate, I think. If you utilize Jeremiah Smith to 80% of his capabilities as a new starting quarterback who can worry about that later and take care of business in this game, I think Ohio State will have the edge. But as of right now, I'm looking on paper at both of these teams. I think Texas is the better overall team. It's really hard for me to pick here, but you said Texas. I'm going to go Ohio State. We'll see.
Both teams are going to have good defenses. They both are filled with talent at the skill position players. It is going to come down to who can manage the game better, Arch Manning or Julian Sayin. Can Arch handle the road atmosphere? Can Julian Sayin handle the expectations? I just believe in Arch a little bit more. Let's go Syracuse versus Tennessee at a neutral site. This one doesn't appear close on paper. Tennessee is favored by essentially 2 touchdowns. However, I like what Fran Brown has been doing at Syracuse. They lost a lot of talent, including Kyle McCord last year to graduation. But they bring in Steve Angeli from Notre Dame at quarterback, who I thought, while Riley Leonard was out last year during their game against Penn State, I thought Steve Angeli played lights out when he had the chance. I am going to go with Syracuse cautiously. There's always an upset during week 1 that nobody's expecting. I think this is where we see that. Give me Syracuse to upset the Noles. Did I say Noles? That's the next matchup. The Volunteers.
I do not hate your pick whatsoever. I am going to go Tennessee here. I think they're the overall better team, but like you said, even though Syracuse has lost a lot of talent, they still have that same culture. You know, they went 10-2 last year. They know how to play. They're just going to be trying to put new guys together, try to build that chemistry out.
Upset Miami. Ended Miami season, basically.
Yeah, that's true also. I think the neutral site is going to play into their hands. And also, Tennessee favored by 13.5. Give me Syracuse to cover. I don't think this is a two-score
absolutely
game. Take Syracuse to cover. That's a safe bet. So I give me Tennessee here, but I think it's a close game.
Same thing, but backwards. Syracuse, either way, I think it's a close game. Next up, we've got Bama. Kalen DeBoer taking the squad with Ryan Williams down to Florida State. I'm sorry, Florida State, but you're not going to start off the season with a win. It's going to be a rough one again for you. I think you're a little bit better than what you were last year, but you're not prepared to take on Alabama. I don't care if it's at home. Give me Alabama.
I was going to say give me Alabama here too. Better overall team. Ryan Williams, also another Heisman candidate for best receiver in the country. Did Alabama and Ohio State play each other?
No.
Okay. I was going to say that'd be insane if they did. Watching that receiver matchup. Anyway, we know that Mike Norvell is a better coach than what he put on display last year. 2-10, not Florida State culture whatsoever. I think Florida State actually comes back a little bit this year. They do not go 2-10 again. I actually haven't looked at their schedule, but this is not a win for them. Give me Alabama.
I think Florida State can cover, maybe, if they're lucky. I just don't think that they're prepared to make that kind of a bounce back. Go 2-10 and then beat Bama in week 1. That'd be kind of rough. So give me the Tide. Another candidate for game of the week alongside Texas Ohio State is LSU at Clemson. In last week's video, I said that LSU was my preseason title favorite, and I had LSU losing to Clemson here and beating Clemson in the semifinals when the playoffs come. I'm going to stick with that and say that no. Yeah. I'm going to stick with that and say that Clemson can pull off the win at home, but then they lose to LSU in the playoffs if they meet. Either way, I'm going to go Clemson here. Going to be a really good matchup. It's going to be Klubnik versus Nussmeier. We're talking about Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams as Heisman candidates. Let's not forget about two of the premier quarterbacks in the country, Nussmeier versus Klubnik. It's going to be Clemson's really good defense and offense. Can LSU boost the defense that they have not been able to do in recent years? I think Brian Kelly is going to do better than he has, but not today. Not against Clemson.
I agree with you too. Give me the Clemson Tigers here. We got a Tiger on Tiger matchup.
Tigers.
Give me Clemson here. I think Cade Klubnik is going to get it done, like you said, with a better defense. We saw last year also Brian Kelly lose in the first game to USC, and USC didn't turn out to be a great team. They were decent, but I could also see Brian Kelly dropping a week 1 game here, especially at Clemson. Give me Clemson.
What I hope for LSU is if they do lose this game, they don't lose confidence moving forward, because LSU is a title contender. I don't care what anybody says about Nussmeier or about the talent that they've brought in through the transfer portal. If it's not going to mesh, so on and so forth. I just hope that if they do lose this, they put it behind them and just keep going, because this game has nothing to do with conference record. All your season is still in front of you if you do lose this game, which kind of sucks because that means the game is meaningless, as we've talked about before with the expanded playoff. But still, give me Clemson. South Carolina goes to Virginia Tech, 7.5-point favorite. I'm going to go with Beamer Ball. Give me South Carolina. Not much to say. Virginia Tech has been mid in recent years. Beamer Ball seems to be on the rise. I like South Carolina.
I'll say I don't care that almost all of our O-line went to Virginia Tech over the offseason. I don't care. Virginia Tech is not going to be that much this season. South Carolina, I think, will easily have this game. However, like we discussed last podcast episode, I'm not as high on the Gamecocks as other people are. However, this is a matchup that South Carolina should have easy handling.
Fairly easy. Matchup we don't see as often anymore is Notre Dame traveling to Miami to play in Hard Rock. Notoriously struggles on the road against Miami, but they are favorites. Notre Dame is I'm very high on. They were in my preseason top 5. I'm going to go with Notre Dame. Marcus Freeman has proven that he can do it. He can get it done. Other than the loss to Northern Illinois last year, he was still 11-1 and stayed undefeated until playing the eventual national champions in Ohio State. I'll take Notre Dame to get it done on the road against Miami.
I'm gonna be different here. I'm gonna take Miami. I like Marcus Freeman, but as we all know, I'm a Notre Dame hater.
He's a Notre Dame hater.
They have an easy schedule. Notre Dame has an easy schedule, but I just don't see any team going 12-0 this year, regardless of the schedule. And I think historically Notre Dame struggling in Hard Rock Stadium. Give me Miami. Give me Carson Beck to go crazy. Give me the Hurricanes.
Could happen. A little bit less of a national matchup and more of just a cool storyline because of Bill Belichick. The Horned Frogs traveled to North Carolina to take on Bill Belichick in his first game as a college head coach. TCU is currently favored by just over a field goal. I like what Sonny Dykes has done over the offseason at TCU. Big fan of Josh Hoover. not as high on North Carolina as some others are. I've seen, articles and videos of people saying that they're dark horse ACC contenders. I don't think Belichick has him there in year one, even though he's a good of a coach he is. Give me TCU.
Give me TCU as well. We were talking about Hoover being huge for TCU, providing stability for him. I think that carries into week one of this season. They're going to be a good Big 12 team. They may not win the championship, but they're going to be a good, decent Big 12 team that we're going to have trouble with for homecoming weekend.
Yep.
So, also looking at North Carolina, yes, Bill Belichick is a terrific coach, as we know, in the NFL, but he has not coached a single game of college football, at least in a very long time. I would say that North Carolina has a lot of questions to answer with Bill Belichick's system. And it's going to be hard for them to put it together against a team who is as good as they are in an overall better Big 12 conference. So give me TCU here.
Last one, game of the week. Bobby Moe comes to Morgantown to take on the Ears. Not much to say. Sorry, Bobby Moe. West Virginia's going to win. Score prediction for this one specifically. I said last week that we would score around the 60-point mark. I'm going to go 54-10.
Give me the Colonials, baby. No, I'm freaking joking. I ain't taking the Colonials here. We all know we got to roll with the Mountaineers. Everybody across the nation except young Patrick Narduzzi is going to pick West Virginia to win this game.
Hey, secrets, okay? This is blasphemy. I am rooting for Pitt in week 1 and week 2 because certain things could happen on week 3 if we're both undefeated.
Wink,
That's all
wink.
I'm going to say.
Wink, wink.
That's all I'm going to say.
Look, I did hear Kirk Herbstreit on McAfee's show the other day say, hopefully we see the Mountaineers early. That's all he said. So we'll leave it at that.
There's your little hint.
I think West Virginia handles this game. As for score predictions, I actually don't think we score as much as you think we are. Do I hope we do? Absolutely. But I don't think we score 54 points. I think we score more in the realm of 38.
That's pretty low for an FCS game.
I think we're going to be answering a lot of questions about what types of offensive sets can we experiment with, not let's get on the board right now, because I guarantee you Rich Rod has plays that he knows that are going to work. And I think what he's going to want to do is go to the plays that have more question marks around them and try to run them, see what happens, see how the defense reacts, because they still are a D1 football team. So see how the defense reacts, and we are still going to score. We're going to light up the scoreboard probably in the first half. But
that's true. They'll probably pull starters after the second half. So
yeah, so
be a little low scoring.
I would say 38, maybe 41. I'll go 38-41 to what does Robert Morris score? I will go 6.
41-6. Just 2 field goals?
Just 2 field goals. I don't think they see the end zone.
That's fair. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and say they score once. But I also think Rich Rod just is going to sling at game 1 and get up there close to 60. So give me 54-10. This is the last time you will talk to us until the post-game show on Sunday. Pray to everything we start 1-0, especially against Bobby Moe.
I'm getting on my knees and praying tonight, baby.
I'll hand it over to you to send us to the outro.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into this short but special episode of a Cold Country podcast. Make sure to follow all of our socials up above. I added our Spotify up there. Don't forget about our Spotify. I'm still posting on there. They're full-length episodes. Full-length podcasts are not going to be this episode, but full-length episodes will be on Spotify, ready for you to stream wherever you go. You don't have to have the YouTube app open. But still, subscribe to us on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe. On everything, please. We want to hear what you think. We want to answer your questions, especially for our post-game show coming up after Bobby Moe. We want to see some people in the comment section giving us some stuff to talk about. So, with that being said, that is going to do it for this episode. From me and from Tyler, we will see you next time.
Goodbye, America.